All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight, those in person and those online. So my name's Matthew Gomolka. I'm a long-term AquaCal employee. Started out as a service tech working on AquaCal heaters here. Tonight I have Doug Murphy helping. Doug's also a long-time AquaCal employee, former service tech. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the PoolSync system tonight, and then we'll take a little break a little bit later, and Brad will talk to us about salt. So, but please, you guys, in person and online, any questions, anything, please speak up, ask questions, interject, what you guys see in the field. If your BS meter goes off, call me out. So, all right. So the PoolSync, the heart of the PoolSync system is our Wi-Fi controller. And
that and push down. Yes, the down button or
nope. We just tested it a minute ago. So. Yep. It's on, the lights up.
Got to go down.
that's fine.
Down.
Yes, sir. That's mine.
All right. So with you guys just joining us, help yourself to pizza and drinks. So. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the PoolSync system again. So with the PoolSync system, it allows us to, using your smartphone, view any devices that you have attached to the PoolSync. You can, view the devices, control them, change your settings from anywhere in the world. We can turn our pool equipment on and off, adjust the settings. We can control groups of equipment, pumps, color lights, and we can also opt to get push notifications on the app or email alerts as well. So you've got options there. You can choose to get those or not. So what kind of equipment can we control? AquaCal heat pumps, variable speed pumps, our ChlorSync salt chlorine generators, our ChemSync chemistry controller, which is a pH and an ORP controller. And with the addition of our relay center, we can control valve actuators, color lights, and anything that we can control with a relay, any relay control device. If you guys have not already downloaded the PoolSync app, I really recommend that you go onto the Play Store or the App Store and download the app just to get familiar with it. It's got a really nice demo mode that you can play around with and see what's available. And then you've already got it. If you have customers that have the PoolSync and want to connect, you've already got the app. So. If somebody has one and you have the app, yeah, it can. You can connect. So, yep. There's also a service access mode that you can use to access it as well. So, but it's a good idea to download it and get familiar with it. So look for the PoolSync Ready logo on any of our PoolSync equipment, and any of the AquaCal heat pumps that we've made for close to the last 2 years, with very few exceptions, have been PoolSync Ready. So, PoolSync has been out for a while. Everything we built, at least for the last year, has been PoolSync Ready. So, I just wanted to mention too, all the heat pumps that we produce have this barcode right on the label next to the data plate, and it's a real good source of information. Scan that barcode and it takes you right to the manual. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's one of the beautiful things about barcodes. We don't have to have those printed manuals anymore. You can just scan it and get right to that information. So AquaCal's smart microprocessor has the PoolSync Ready logo on it right there. You can see, but It's a digital control with a 24-character full-text LCD display. So it gives us right on the heat pump display, easy to read diagnostics, error reporting. We can go in there and find the model and serial number, all kinds of information from the smart microprocessor. So any unit with the smart microprocessor can also connect to any of the major aftermarket or any of the major controllers, Pentair, Jandy, Hayward, and anything that's out there. And we can talk to them and control cooling if the controller has cooling capabilities. So that would be Jandy and Pentair. We can't talk to Hayward. They do something a little bit funky with their cooling control. So comments? You guys, are you Hayward guys or? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and anything with the smart microprocessor is automation ready. So if you are PoolSync connected, controlling some equipment, any of our equipment, this is what the user is going to see when they open up their app. They get a dashboard with that gives them a quick view of the system, what's going on. You can, if they're controlling the heater, have the heater connected, they can see the water temperature, whether the system has flow. If there's a salt chlorine generator, you've got a real nice, easy to decipher salt meter right there. Just low, good, or high. So real easy on the homeowner. You can dig into it a little bit deeper and get the actual salt and parts per million. So real quick, easy to use dashboard. Quick picture of what's going on. If we are controlling a heat pump, we click on the heat pump itself. We can see the temperature, view and change the temperature. We can turn it on, turn it off, change it from heating to cooling if it's a reversing model. We can see the status if it's actually running, if the fan's on, full control of the heat pump from right there. So one of the features that we've had ever since we released the smart microprocessor, and this feature is available with or without the PoolSync antenna, but any unit with the smart micro has variable speed pump control. A lot of people aren't aware that we have that feature. It's free, it's built in, you don't need to buy any additional equipment. So again, a free feature with anything with the advanced controller. We just connect it right up to one of the ports on the heat pump control board, and it gives us full variable speed pump control, scheduling of the pump. If you've got control of the pump, then you can, schedule the whole system, the heating cycle. So we can do up to 4 schedules per day, and it's a 7-day time clock. So, and right now we can talk to Jandy, Hayward, Pentair, Aquastar, Century, the V-Green replacements, Spec. We've got a couple more that we have in the works. So, but all the major manufacturers we can connect directly to the heat pump. So it eliminates the need for a time clock. Free feature.
Waterway? That's the only thing I can see.
That's one of the ones that's in the works.
Yeah.
We're trying to get communication with it.
Yep.
Thank you.
So it's easy as connecting the communication cable for the pump right to port B on the heat pump. And then once we're controlling it, we've got full variable speed pump control. And I like using this feature if I'm setting up a waterfall or trying to determine my perfect flow rate for the pool. You can sit there and change it in 50 RPM increments and, tweak it exactly, find out exactly the right pump speed.
Question.
Yes.
Since you have Pentair here for the new IntelliFlow, is it able to control it by flow?
No, that's a very good question. Yeah. It's got to be, the question was for you guys online with the new IntelliFlow, if it's in GPM mode, I think is what you're asking.
Right.
Can we communicate with it? And no, it has to be in RPM mode or else we'll get an error. So very good question. Yeah. That's kind of on our to-do list, but I don't think it's very high on the list. Yeah. Do you like that feature or do you have customers?
It's good for commercial.
Yeah. Where you have to maintain a certain flow rate. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know how bad your filters will be getting. Yeah, I don't take care of it once I just install the pumps.
Yeah, yeah.
Those guys don't read pressure.
Yeah, real good point. I do hear on residential systems that people complain that the pump's always changing speeds and
Yeah.
you don't have control.
Back system.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, very good question. But no, it has to be in RPM mode.
But
No, just sucks. Yeah. So we can also control, basically any pool related accessories with the addition of our relay center. The variable speed pump control, once again, you don't have to buy any equipment. You connect it right up to the heat pump control board. It works with or without the PoolSync. So you can do it directly from the heat pump control panel. But if we want to control, single speed pumps, any relay controlled devices, actuators, then we need the RLC0002 relay center. So the relay center comes with an expansion board and a cable that tie it into the main heat pump board. It comes with 2 relays, but there is room to mount up to 6 relays in the relays. So it comes with 2. And the relay we're using is the standard, the same relay that Jandy, Pentair, and Hayward use. You can buy them online for $25 or you can get them from us. So exact same relay. So, and again, with the PoolSync, we can control up to 16 different devices. So, we can do 4 actuators and 6 relays. With the expansion board and the relay center, we can also do multiple variable speed pumps. If those pumps have an address, they have to be addressable, and not all variable speed pumps are. We know some models only have 2 available addresses, but if they're the same type and they're addressable, we can control up to 4 variable speed pumps through that same port B connection. So we do have several installations out there where we're controlling more than one pump.
What about gas heater?
We do not. The only way to control a gas heater right now is using one of the relays. So it's not really perfect. We did have a gas backup feature previously, and again, that is a little bit higher on the to-do list. We will be bringing that back. A good way to control gas. So. And since you mentioned gas, we don't have it in the presentation, but any of the smart controller equipped heat pumps, it's a full solar controller as well. So we can add a roof sensor and a valve actuator, and we've got full solar control. And it actually has a couple different modes of operation. We can select solar only, heat pump only, or a hybrid mode where we can choose 2 different temperatures, and it'll use the solar as much as possible. And if it gets too far below the set point, it'll kick on the heat pump to back it up. So, yeah, that's another feature that we've always had that, a lot of people don't even realize it's available, but that's built in. So again, up to 16 different devices. On commercial jobs, we can do multiple heat pumps. We can daisy chain those heat pumps together and then also connect so that they work as one unit, and then also connect them to the PoolSync. So. Yes.
Heat pumps have to be of the same body.
No, they do not. If we're going to daisy chain them, when we refer to daisy chaining, we can connect those heat pumps together using just a low voltage communication wire and designate one as the lead. And then that lead will bring on all the other follower units. So they kind of function as one heat pump. You only have to set the temperature, make adjustments on that lead unit. So no, we can daisy chain. Correct. Yeah. So you could have 4 on the pool, daisy chain together, and all communicating with the PoolSync, and then you could have one on the spa, wired, independently, but to the same PoolSync, and also control that. You could have another one on a cold dip. So, yeah, it's kind of unlimited, really, the way you can do it. We can also do multiple ChlorSync units. And our ChemSync pH and ORP controller as well. So very, very versatile. You got a lot of options. It's just an image of what the expansion board looks like. The 2 boards connect with a cable. You can see the relay connections right there, and then your valve actuator connections right there. And the control panel, there are pre-drilled holes to mount the expansion board. So So with relays, we can really do anything. If we're going to control a single speed pump or a multi-speed pump, we would use relays, but we can also control lights, landscape lighting, pool color lights, no zone purifier, sprinkler pumps. It's really unlimited, what you control with your relays. So I do my sprinkler pump, and I think it's perfect because when I'm working, I've always have broken heads, and being able to turn that system on and off when I'm working on the system from my phone is really nice. So with your relay control devices, single speed pumps, any equipment that we're controlling with the relay, we can put into a group. Once you put it into a group, then you have the option to schedule that group or operate that group with an egg timer. Our color light shows, we right now can do Jandy, Pentair, Hayward, PacFab, and SR Smith lights. So we're working on adding a couple. Are there any popular lights out there that you guys don't see on the list?
Is J&J part of Hayward? Is that considered?
I'm not sure.
So that would be one.
Okay.
There
Are we-
is an IPP light that's out there that I'm considering pitching to a customer.
Okay. Are we still selling a lot of amp lights? No?
But they are out there.
I know they were popular for a while, but not. Okay. If you would take some notes and we'll, PAL lights? Yeah.
Pal is SR Smith, yes.
I thought Fluider bought SR Smith, right? Yeah.
So
Now, Pal, is that like the new Sal and Sam or? what?
LED, like light stripping and trios.
Okay. Well, we can do those. We found a lot of
The
them.
lighting used actually in Great American Waterfall, LED waterfalls also.
Ah, okay. That's a good one to follow up on. Yeah.
It's dimmable system.
Yes.
You guys want to control that?
No, not yet. That one has a new light shows, correct? It's dimmable and has some a new light shows.
That's the one that created an issue with the communication, right? That
Yeah.
was the new upgrade to the AquaLink system
Yeah.
was to be able to control those dimmable lights or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
They have like a color wheel that you move with your finger.
Yeah. Yeah. Not yet. So we'll
Yeah,
work on that one. Yeah.
The new AquaLink light that we know about the. Right, that one.
J&J,
J&J.
which Hayward acquired, so
And
maybe
now-
not, but it is kind of.
Yeah.
technically right.
Amp.
Which one was you saying that the fountain place uses?
It's, I don't know the actual name of it, I just know the company and follow up with me on that.
Okay.
Great American. Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
It's
Well,
one
that's,
thing in the pool industry, things change on a daily basis. But we do a lot of color light shows, so we've got full control. And you can select your light show,
I got it.
right there from the phone. You can, put it in a group. You can schedule it to come on. I have mine come on in the morning for a couple hours before the sun comes up, and then in the evening. So very, very nice and easy to control. We can do multiple lights, and if you get, more than one light and they're out of whack, there's a sync feature that'll sync them up so that they're all on the same color. So nice and easy to use. So as I mentioned, once we have our equipment that we can control, we put that equipment into a group. And once we have a group of equipment, we can set a schedule, just like with the pool pump. It's very, very easy to do and user-friendly to set your schedules right from the phone app. You can do it from the heat pump control panel as well, but you tap on that scheduling feature. It's going to open up the screen over here, and we can see we've got four available schedules. You just tap on it, you enter the start time, the stop time, select the days of the week you want the schedule to run, and save it. Very, very quick and easy. And again, up to 4 schedules per group. We also have the ability to control any of the groups of equipment like the light or your spa with an egg timer. So we can set the egg timers up anywhere from 15 minutes to 48 hours. And again, that's very easy to do, to set and change that duration from the app. Doesn't affect any of your scheduling, but you can turn it on temporarily, half hour, it stays on, then goes off automatically. So questions, comments so far? So AquaCal, everything is based on the PoolSync. So AquaCal has made a big jump in beginning. We're actually building some units this way now, but beginning probably sooner, but by the second quarter of this year, everything we build is going to have an embedded PoolSync. So you no longer need to purchase it. You no longer need to wire it or hook it up. It's going to be built right into the heat pump. So I know these pictures are a little bit hard to see, but we've got the PoolSync board and the antenna is mounted inside the heat pump cabinet. So everything's going to come with the PoolSync automatically. So questions, comments? Also, beginning in early October, AquaCal is in the process of streamlining our model offerings. So the new model offerings are going to include, the new part numbers are going to be the 140R, a 160, and a 200 in our heating models. So 3 heating models in the super quiet line. They're all going to be reversing models. So everything we make is going to have the embedded PoolSync. It's all going to be a heat and cool or a reversing model, which means it has that hot gas or that active defrost. Very, very competitive pricing. Either single or 3-phase models available for each of the different models. And they're going to come with a 2-year standard parts and labor warranty. And if the customer connects it to the PoolSync, because we're really encouraging everybody to connect up to the PoolSync, they get that 3rd-year warranty, that 3rd-year parts and labor warranty, but they've got to connect it. Questions, comments?
Going back to where the antennas hook to, where will the expansion board go?
The expansion board, you can't see it in this picture, but there's one of the holes right there. But they're hidden by the wires. There's 4 pre-drilled holes right there. So yeah, our new electrical panels, if you've noticed, are installed any, in the last year or so. They have a lot of room in them. Some of the models we made in the past were on the small side, didn't have a lot of extra room, but we've got plenty of extra space in those electrical panels now. So question.
The reason for the 3 years for the PoolSync.
Well, we know that if it's connected, we can monitor abuse. We can see any operational problems and address them before. So we'll give that extra warranty. Yeah.
That can prevent nuisance calls as well.
Mhm.
Service.
Yep. So because we're encouraging all of our units, we want as many connected as possible. AquaCal has a system called Mission Control for remote monitoring of the heat pumps and chlorinators and any of our PoolSync connected devices. So it's a really, really powerful tool. And we're offering this free to our dealers, free service to our dealers. So if you want to get set up, if you've got a pool service repair business and you have customers on the PoolSync, we'll set you up with your own account. You can monitor your own clients' pools. You can access Mission Control from your phone or from the computer. You can set it up and designate different access levels for different employees. So if you have a big business, you might want some people to only have view-only access. So you can choose the access level. And it gives you the ability to monitor your customers' pools, receive fault alerts like low salt or a problem with the heater, and really a lot more. It's a very, very powerful system. This is an example of the dashboard. So you can see here, there are 22 PoolSyncs connected. 18 of them happen to be online when the snapshot was taken. So that means for whatever reason, the power is off on some of them, or they're offline. The Wi-Fi went down. Up north, they winterized pools and turned power off. So that could be one reason. And 5 of the sites actually have errors. Any of the pools with the errors are going to be right at the top. And the red tells you that, that there's an error. So at this point, you can click on any of those and it's going to take you right to all the details of that pool. A very common error with we haven't had rain lately, but, in Florida, very, very common for a lot of our pools to be low on salt. So, a lot of those could be low salt errors. And by monitoring that, you would know, send some salt out with the technician. They don't need to go there, the chlorinator's down, they can just, you can actually go and look, see what the salt level is and make sure that that guy takes salt with him. If it's a heat pump error, it may be something, like an HP. It might be a good indication that the filter's dirty or something, or there's a problem. Or it might tell you, it might be pretty obvious that you need to call for service. So very, very powerful tool. So again, we can, from Mission Control, we can turn the heaters on and off. You have customers that are coming from up north. Can you preheat my pool for me? Can you turn the heaters on and make sure that they're operating before that Thanksgiving rush or that Christmas rush? Instead of waiting to the last minute, you can turn it on, you can adjust the temperature. You can check their run schedule and see how long the pump's running.
See it on the app?
Yes. What?
Is it-
No, not on the app. This is Mission Control. So this is a feature that our dealers would have to ask us for, but we'll provide it free to our dealers. And you can monitor your customers' pools. Yeah.
You just asked it for it.
Yep, absolutely.
If he has, if he actually has access to their PoolSync, like he has
Yes.
them up.
Yeah,
If you have them logged on your phone, you have that same access. You can see their schedule. If you already have, with Mission Control, in other words, it's an easier way to keep track of all of your customers.
you can't see near the level of detail on your phone that you can on here. Yeah. So you've got a pool service? But you have customers that you kind of take care of and monitor. Yeah.
Yes. I have a few of them on the app.
Mhm.
I can see them, but I was looking to see if I can see the Mission Control. And it's not on the app, so it's something.
No, yeah, it's something different. We have to set you up with an account. So, and the way you get your customers on there, there's 2 ways. If you notice on your app, you have a place where you can enter a code. So when you get your own Mission Control setup, you'll have a unique dealer code, and your customers can actually enter that code in the app, and it'll connect automatically. Or they can provide you with their what's called a MAC address, which is a unique ID. So. Yeah, again, so question.
So. Well, yeah, right, I get that's remote. What about the companies like that have a lot of employees and they have an office person that works out of the computer? Is that what you're considering Mission Control in their office, or is it Mission Control at the manufacturer?
AquaCal has the Mission Control that can see everything and do everything. But we're offering it as a free service to our dealers where they can have their own account and see only their own customers.
Not just on the phone.
Not just on the phone or computer. Yep. And the administrator, whoever they choose to be the administrator, can set their various employees up with different levels of access. So it's a very, very powerful tool. Yep.
One thing too, and so if you have a couple of customers like you get the access from us and you have to send up. In there, you can actually send out an email to your, you can send a code out to your customers, and they'll get an invite to come log in and let you see. So that'll make it easy for you to set that.
Mhm. Yeah, again, so you can turn the heaters on and off. You can, view and adjust the run times and the pump schedules. If we're controlling, if we have one of our ChemSync systems, we can actually monitor the pH and the ORP of the pool. If it's just a chlorinator, we can, adjust the output level. We can, with the pH and the ORP system, there's an acid tank, so you can actually view how much acid's been consumed. So, if your tank's down, you're down to the last gallon, you know that you need to take enough acid to fill that tank up. So salt levels. Again, the possibilities and what you can do with it are very, very powerful. So if anybody's interested, get with one of us, and we'll get you set up with an account and schedule some training. All right. Questions, comments on anything we talked about so far? No? Okay. Well, I'm gonna switch over to Brad. So give us a couple of minutes. Anybody needs to use the bathroom or take a quick break?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and start back up if you guys are ready. And for those of you online, during the break, I handed out it's a troubleshooting guide for the PoolSync Gen 2. You can actually find this online at AutoPilot.com. It's in our resources hyperlink. Yeah, almost. All right, so welcome to PoolSync Gen 2, which will eventually become the PoolSync Evolve. They have settled on that name. And right now, it's still PoolSync Gen 2, but it will transition into PoolSync Evolve. You know, you can control the percentage of purification in 1% increments. You can also hold the up or down button down. If you hold it down, it'll start jumping 10%. So you can raise it 10% at a time till you get close. If you want it at 75%, hold it down till you get to 70, let off of it, and then push the button. And 5 times to get to 75. Just a faster way if you have a large gap that you're trying to traverse. Fine-tune adjustments. One device operates status errors, lights, and messages. We got warning lights. Green light good, red light bad, and then there'll be a message on the screen as to why you have a red light if you have one. 3-year warranty, parts and labor. It has a pool cover switch detection, which anytime you have a pool cover and you close the cover, your demand for chlorine drops dramatically. So the system is designed to recognize when a pool cover closes with a low voltage wire to it. And it rolls the chlorine production back to 5% of the actual set point. So if you got it at 100% output, you close the cover, it will drop back to 5%. Power Center works with all cells, PPC 1 through PPC 5. So it's a good replacement for any system that you have out there if the power supply goes down. If we no longer offer the Nano system goes out, you can replace the Nano power supply with a PoolSync Power Center, and it will drive that cell. Same thing with a Nano Plus. Oh yeah, Dig, Soft Touch, 75003. Like I said, it's a replacement for all AutoPilot units that we have out there. All right, we have sensors. There's a tri-sensor. The tri-sensor is called a tri-sensor because it senses 3 things: salt, flow, and temperature. When you have the system paired with a PoolSync on the salt, you're able to program the gallons of the pool into the PoolSync app. So therefore, the system can tell you how many pounds of salt to add to get back up to the 3,500 that we want the unit at. When it's a standalone PoolSync, it will display salt parts per million, but it will not tell you how many pounds of salt to add. You need the app for that. This is our patented manifold that was used with the AutoPilot product line and is now used with the PoolSync Gen 2, or soon to be PoolSync Evolve. All of our cells fit into that manifold. There. Hold on. There we go. All right. So when it comes to sizing, you'll see that you've seen it advertised. This cell does this many gallons. This cell does this many gallons. This is the way I prefer to size a system, knowing how many pounds of chlorine it will generate in a 24-hour period. By knowing that, you can calculate, is that cell large enough to do the pool that you're doing? By simple math, you can break down how much chlorine that system has or can prepare in 24 hours down to 8 hours, down to 6 hours by simple math. You know, PPC1 on a PoolSync Gen 2 will do 1 pound of chlorine per day. If you're running that 8 hours a day, the max chlorine output is 1/3 of a pound. If you stick that on a 40,000 gallon pool, I promise you, that pool is not going to be taken care of. So, you know, by knowing how many pounds the system can generate in a 24-hour period, you can calculate whether that system is going to be large enough for that pool. Along with the run time. That's important as well.
How does that pound equate to, say, liquid chlorine?
Pound, gallon. If you look at the little blue book that comes in your tailored test kit when you buy it, and you look at what 1 pound of granular chlorine will do to a 10,000 gallon body of water versus what 1 gallon of liquid chlorine will do to a 10,000 gallon body, it's the same. 1 pound of chlorine will raise a 10,000 gallon pool from 0 to 10 parts per million, and 1 gallon, or did I say gallon first? 1 pound of granular shock will raise it from 0 to 10 parts per million. 1 gallon of liquid chlorine will raise it from 0 to 10 parts per million. So they both do the same thing in the same body of water. So you might hear me switch back and forth, gallon, pound, gallon, when I talk about, you know, the chlorine that we're generating. It's because it's the same. I mean, we manufacture sodium hypochlorite. Technically, we manufacture chlorine gas, but it's in water, immediately absorbed by the water, so therefore becomes liquid chlorine. All the liquid chlorine you buy out there in that big vat that has it out there, it's manufactured the same way we're manufacturing on the side of your house. Salt water and electricity. But so you got the PPC 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You see the pounds that will generate in 24 hours. You'll notice that there's a yellow line around the PPC 2, and that's basically because in the PoolSync Gen 2, we don't offer a bundle pack with the PPC 2 cell. All right. The reason why is because the PPC 2 cell in and of itself costs as much as the PPC 3 cell. So it doesn't make sense to buy a bundle with a PPC 2 cell. But we wanted you to know that if you had a Nano Plus that went out, you have the power supply went out, you have an option by replacing the power supply with the PoolSync Gen 2. And we wanted you to know what it will manufacture. These are the part numbers for the whole systems and the power center. Yeah, for you guys that used to buy the Nano and Nano Plus, if you remember, you had to buy, to get a power center, you had to buy the whole thing. You had to buy the cell bundled with it. Well, with the PoolSync Gen 2, you don't have to. You can buy just the power center. It doesn't have to be bundled with a cell.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
I have the PoolSync, the first one,
yes.
and so in order to produce what you're saying, the maximum was, say,
We go back.
0.3, because I have a PPC 3.
Okay.
So you have to run it 24 hours a day at 100%.
At 100% output, yes.
Okay.
So the cell would have to be energized all the time, the whole 24 hours. Yeah.
Would that be the boost cycle?
That's the same as a boost cycle, yes.
So if you get a boost, it automatically defaults to 100% for 24 hours of runtime?
24 hours of runtime, yes, sir. So the pump has to be running for 24 hours. If the system experiences a flow message, like the pump shuts off, and it experiences a flow, the countdown is stopped. And it won't pick back up till flow is reestablished.
But if you're running 8 hours a day,
Mhm.
so for the next 3 days,
It'll be a boost cycle.
100%.
Yep.
Perfect.
But here's the thing. Why are you pressing boost? Why are you pressing boost? Because the pool needs chlorine. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But the whole point is you're pressing boost because you want chlorine to go in the pool. Why would you not override your time clock if there's a time clock present and allow the pump to run 24/7? That way you get the chlorine in 24 hours straight versus 3 days. So now it's taking 72 hours to get that same amount of chlorine in the water. Yeah, exactly.
Great if you're having a party in the weekend. You can
Yeah.
do a little pre-boost, or, you've had some heavy rainstorm, you can boost it up that way as well.
Exactly.
But I think one of the points you were trying to make is boost is not gonna bring your pool back if it's already
Yeah.
gone.
If your pool's turned green, boost is not the, the only way that happens is if you have an oversized cell on a smaller body of water. Then yes, you might be able to use your salt system to bring the pool back to good. Salt systems are if sized properly, they're designed to maintain a pool and maintain your chlorine at a level that you have it at. and maintaining it good. Once it goes bad, technically, it's going to need help getting back to good. This is the power center. At current, you see the display is on the side of the unit. The plan is with the Evolve, the display will be moved around to the front. Cell cord takes the same cell cord as the Soft Touch or Dig 220, if you're familiar with that, which is basically the red and black RCA jack / banana plug connections. We found we had less failures with that, which is why we went with that versus the mate and lock white connectors. Standard length is 12 feet. Same thing with the tri-sensor. It is a 12-foot cord. This is the tri-sensor simulator. It's just a handy tool to have. It's a way of helping you diagnose any system that has either erroneous salt issues, flow issues, or temp issues. Mrs. Smith's Pool's AutoPilot saying it's got 3,600 parts per million salt. The manual test says there's only 1,200 in the pool, or vice versa, whichever. Obviously, there's an issue somewhere. It's showing no flow when you got the pump on, there's flow. This is just a handy way of being able to troubleshoot those issues. I think I have one in my truck if you need one. Matthew, do you have any the simulators here? Yeah, I have one in my door. That it's not in the Ziploc pouch. I apologize, and it doesn't have the little sheet that tells you what it does. But if you want to take a snapshot right here, so this is on a PoolSync. All right, so we are utilizing the same tri-sensor simulator that we've utilized for years on the AutoPilot systems. The only difference is on the salt level. On an AutoPilot system, you plug that simulator in, it's supposed to read the salt at 2,200. On a PoolSync, when you plug the simulator in, it's going to read the salt at 7,000 plus, give or take, 100 to 200 parts per million. It's a different salt equation. So might be the same resistor, but the salt equation is different in the PoolSync than it is the AutoPilot. So, and the sheet that comes with it, the old ones, they don't say this, so you may want to take note of this. All right, because we've handed out plenty of them. And if you're looking at it, just don't forget PoolSync Gen 2 or PoolSync Evolve when the simulator is plugged in, 7,000 parts per million. That's also, let me remind you that it's a resistor read. So it takes about a minute to a minute and a half for the system to actually acclimate itself to the simulator. So you can't just plug it in and immediately go in and do a test pool pilot to get the salt reading. You have to give it some time.
Brad, are you saying the instructions have not been updated yet?
Not on all the ones I have and handed out over the years. So, yeah, we have a lot of old ones out there that I've told everybody, hey, keep this in the Ziploc baggie and keep it with the little sheet that has the information on it. So, just know if you have your old one and have the sheet with it, it's going to tell you 2,200. And if you're plugging it into a PoolSync Gen 2 or, Evolve, it's 7,000. Temperature is the same. Everything else is the same. As far as wiring goes, simple wiring. It's preset, set up for 220 wiring, but it's easily converted to 115 simply by undoing the wire nut that's holding the black and blue wires together, and then bringing your yellow and black to the hot leg, and then your blue and white to the neutral leg, and you've converted the unit to 115. No, you don't have to swap out fuses or anything. Just simple wiring. This is a picture of the board. This is and the 10 amp fuse that is in the PoolSync Gen 2. If that blows, you'll have no display. Now, when this is in the unit, there's two red wires that come off the transformer that plug down on those two spade connectors on the top of the board. So you can't really see it that well, but there is a little field of view right there that you can see the fuse. A lot of times when the mini blade fuse blows, you'll actually see it, and I think there's enough of a window there. But ultimate test is if you don't see it blown, you still should pull it out of the board and do a continuity check on it. We have an ORP connection for dry contact. So if you have a pool being controlled by a cat controller or chemtrol or something of that nature, we do have a dry contact connection for the PoolSync Gen 2. Anybody familiar with that as far as running a unit off of a salt system off of ORP connections? Just to let you know, it is available.
Gonna be on or off.
Do what?
It's gonna be either on or off when it's up.
Yes, on or off. Yep, exactly. It's the same as if you're familiar with our total control system or whatever else, the ORP connection. Bottom line is, I'll go back to it. Let me get back to it. When controlled by ORP, if it's controlled by a cat controller or something like that, the ORP drops below the set point. It's going to complete a low voltage signal until the system, hey, turn the cell on. The cell is going to be at 100% output till it satisfies the ORP. Once the ORPs are satisfied, the signal is then open and it'll shut the cell off. And I believe the display says ORP on or ORP on the actual display for the PoolSync. Pump controls, when you wire in a PoolSync Gen 2, we prefer it be wired line side voltage, not load, with, especially when a PoolSync's involved. When the PoolSync's involved, we definitely do not want the unit on the load side of the time clock. Granted, the pump may be shutting off, but we don't want this. We don't want the antenna shutting off every day and having to reconnect to the Wi-Fi every day. You're just asking for issues, and then it can't be monitored or controlled if a homeowner's out of town and wants control of their system. So prefer it line side connection. So boost cycle, if you don't have the app and you want to put the system in a boost cycle, you simply press the up and down arrows and hold them down for a few seconds, and it will literally read BST, which stands for boost, and 24. And then you can take your fingers off of the up and down arrows. Like we were talking about earlier, if you have an 8-hour pump run time and you don't override the time clock, then it's an 8-hour schedule. It's going to run for 3 days in boost.
How do you take it up? Which mode?
Boost mode, but take it out of boost mode the same way you put it in. Hold the up and down arrows till it takes it out of boost. And boost BST 24 will disappear, and the percentage of whatever you had it at before you put it into boost will pop back up on the screen. Salt calibration. For salt calibration, and I didn't mention this on the previous slide, but all of these are able to be controlled in the app as well. With the app, it's just a simple click of a button in the app, and it will put the cell in boost. For calibration, salt calibration, we actually, in the app, we have a spot in the app to where you can do salt calibrations on the app and simply program in the number that you want to set the salt at. If you don't have the app, you simply press the up arrow 3 times and then up and then 3 times down. That will raise the salt level 100 parts per million. So if you have 1,000 parts per million and you're trying to raise it, you'll have to repeat the process 10 times. If you want to lower it, it's up arrow 4 times, down arrow 4 times to lower it 100 parts per million at a time. Nothing wrong with any of that. I just want to make it clear that it is a lot easier with the PoolSync. Once again, trying to promote the PoolSync app, because once again, you can monitor it, you can see what's going on, you can have remote access to it, you can see what's going on with your customer system and not even be on site. To do a self-diagnostic, you can press the up arrow 5 times, down arrow 5 times. It will bring up that it is a Gen 2. It will bring up the salt value in parts per million, water temperature. It'll bring up current, which is amps, and then it'll bring up volts. Now the current's going to show up like it's a 6 amp system, so you might see 6.1 or 6.0, 60. There is no decimal point in the display, so that's 6.0 or 6 amps or 6.1 amps or 5.9 if it's 59. Same thing with the volts. If it's running at 17 volts, you're going to see 170, but that's 17 volts. And then it's got the current version firmware in there as well. Also, what we don't have here, and Matthew, we need to make an adjustment here. It also shows, if I'm not mistaken, the temperature adjustment for temperature compensation.
Just out of curiosity, why did you go away with nano display, which I think was super friendly. And we change into that.
Well, we haven't done away with it yet, but it's all about availability. It's too spotty as to when we can get the parts to build them. So we can't continue to run a business off of not being able to get parts readily and available when we need them.
Actually becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the parts at all for a while. Now we can get them again, but they're very difficult to get. Plus, a lot of our customers want a connected system.
Yeah.
So,
Because I remember it was out of all the sold system out there,
yeah,
that was super friendly.
Yeah.
people love the nanos.
Yeah. And just like before it came out, everybody had a favorite before the Nano came out. But this is going to be your best friend. Like I said, you're able to monitor your homeowner and not even be on site. You're able to look at it and see if there's a fault or if there's an issue going on. And if they call you up and say, "Hey, my pool's got no chlorine," you can look up and say, "Well, is there something going on with the system, or is it something that's dealing with their water chemistry?" Because if you do a test and everything's showing that system is working like it's supposed to, then it's a water chemistry issue, and you can go out there loaded for that. If you look on there and you see that there's an actual fault going on, you can go out there loaded for that. So, I'm like you. I like the Nano, but this has a better better use as far as I'm concerned. More friendly. So to force a reverse, you press the up arrow 7 times, down arrow 7 times, and it will actually reverse the flow of the current going through the cell. So we haven't really talked about what reversal is, but all cells and all salt systems reverse polarity. Reversing polarity has 2 purposes. A, it keeps the cell clean from calcification buildup, and B, it promotes even wear of the cell blade, so you get the longest life out of the cell. So you can force a reverse because when you're working on a system, you want to make sure that the cell is operating in both directions like it should.
Control that from the app as well.
Yes, you can change the reverse time from the app. I don't think you can force reverse from the app. I think you do have to do that manually from the actual cell. Yeah, you can force it from mission control, but the app, I do not think it has a button to force reverse on it. This is the pool cover connection that we were talking about. As I told you earlier, it will drop the percentage down to 5% of whatever the original set point was when it's closed. Once again, this is a dry contact connection. So a lot of your cover control motors operate off a 220 or 115. It is not a wire running from that 115 that provides that motor power to close or open that cover. It is the dry contact. So if you have a cover that only has high voltage going to it, you're going to need to get a relay kit from the manufacturer. You need to call the manufacturer of that pool cover. And I realize I'm talking about something that's probably obsolete down here. I don't know of any automatic pool covers in Florida, but they are pretty big up north and out of state.
Yeah, those relay kits typically have to be installed during construction.
Yeah. This is a slide going over the indicator lights that are on the PoolSync Gen 2 Power Center. As I told you earlier, I love it because it's simple. Green light good, red light bad. All right. And if you have a red light, the display is going to tell you exactly why that red light is on the screen, whether it be a salt issue, a temperature issue, or a cell issue. All right. The guide that I handed out to you earlier, and for those of you that are online, I told you could go to the AutoPilot website and view it from the AutoPilot website. This is the part number for it. We made it out of, I don't want to, it's not like the old ones PVC, but they are laminated. So that way they'll last in a truck, because we all know how paper products last in a service truck. But it has a lot of troubleshooting guidelines on it. And a lot of the parameters of what you're looking for when you're testing the unit out. Paired up with the PoolSync app, the PoolSync paired up with the PoolSync app, you're able to see, the salt level displayed on the front board. And it's just a sliding scale. So it's got a green dot where it's currently reading the salt at. and you've just got, high, good, and low. Just a little indicator, not a bunch of information there, but just enough to let you know whether salt needs to be added or not. Because so long as it's within this good line here, you're not getting an indicator down here. Any indications that you have, any faults you have a little bell down at the bottom. So if you have a fault or you have something that the system's wanting you to know, there'll be a number there. On the next level access, once you click on your PoolSync button, so come on, go back. So once you click on this button right here, it'll bring up the back screen, which will allow you to set the percentage either using the up and down arrows or just taking your finger, putting it on the black dot and sliding it around the circle. And as you can see, it allows you to put it in a 24-hour boost and you get your flow information, and now you get your salt and parts per million.
When you show up to the house and you're looking at your phone, how do you know that you're looking at that unit? Like, how does it, if you have multiple units, how do you know which one it's matching?
You can name each unit, which, I'm hoping you would do. If you're not naming each unit, then yeah.
Yeah, like you said, the house.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's let me go to the back page. Let me go to the back page, drag the circle around to 90%, and see if this goes up to 90. If not, I'm not at the right one. let me put that back where it was. So you should name each one.
Some of the displays have the ability to look on your phone in the shade or somewhere where it's easier to see would be a huge benefit.
Yeah, you talk about the displays on the PoolSync itself.
Just in sun after time.
I got you. Well, now I don't want to go back. Remember, the PoolSync unit actually has a little flip up lid on the display, and that's UV protected. So we're hoping that, so if that does get a little bit dull, you should still be able to lift it up and have a good view of it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's right. If you're working on equipment and being able to do your comments.
Once again, with the app, I just want to, mention once again, how nice and friendly the app is to have on the system.
And for dealers, it's gonna be very easy on mission control, because we can see by the geography on the map, it's gonna see, which customers will pay.
So I'm seeing that the parts per million on the PoolSync is much higher than what we used to recommend on the Nano. Is the PoolSync Gen 2 higher than the original PoolSync?
No.
Parts per million wise?
No, parts per million wise, the PoolSync Gen 1, Gen 2, and the Evolve are the same. They've been the same. And it's not much higher. It's 3,500 versus 3,000. Now, operational wise, and we may have a screen that goes over there. I may have somewhat bypassed it. It's on the sheet here that I handed out, which is why we don't talk a lot about it. The operation level of the system will operate all the way down to 2,300 parts per million. Once it drops to 2,299, it will shut off. That's a little bit higher than what the AutoPilot product line was. The AutoPilot product line was anything below 2,000, but with offering a 3-year warranty, we want to ensure that, we're not burning cells out prematurely because we're allowing the systems to run at lower salt. That's that's a huge factor. How much salt is in the water is important to how long a cell lasts, along with how much chlorine is being generated. The more salt you have in the water, the more salt you have to convert to chlorine. So by having 3,500 parts per million in the water, it allows the system to generate more chlorine than having 3,000 parts per million in the water. So it plays a factor in cell life. Yes, sir.
Are we gonna be able to adjust the production for spa mode?
For spa mode, the system isn't set up, in other words, for two different like pool mode, I want you to run at this percentage, and spa mode, I want you to run at this percentage. No.
75% pouring.
No, we're still recommending that unless it's an actual chemistry control system or a ChemSync that is reading ORP and pH or being controlled by a system with ORP or pH, that'd be on the pool return line only.
But if they had a.
Hold on, Gaspar. Sean?
Go ahead, talking about the spa pool combos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also set it up so when you're in the spa mode, you can activate the dry contact and plug into the automatic cover. So
Yeah. There is a fix for that. Like there is no spa mode. You can't set a percentage for the spa mode, but what you can do is like Sean said, you can activate the pool cover switch when it's in spa mode, which will allow the system to drop the percentage. So there is kind of a workaround on that.
One more option too,
Yeah.
before we move on.
Yep.
If you're using the PoolSync system, and have the group set up, you
Yes.
can actually add the chlorinator to the spa group with a specific setting, like
Yes.
1% or
Yes.
2%.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that-
Yeah. If you're using the automation system,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I meant.
Okay, yes.
When you.
Yeah, when you have, well, not just the pool sync. If you're using, you have to have the full automation. You're using the system to run your, yeah.
Well, spa, like using the system moving.
Yeah. You wouldn't put the chlorinator in like the, in the pool group, but you would put it in the spa group. Yeah. So that way,
Exactly.
yeah, but all right. So here's what happens when you put a ChlorSync, when you program the equipment and you tell it it's controlling the chlorinator, it locks the percentage in and then you can't change it via the app. Yes, we had that issue. So, that's why you only put it in the spa group. So that way it's locked and controlled only when it's in the spa mode. And then when it's in the pool mode, you still have adjustment of it.
So in other words, if it's in spa mode, the pool guy cannot change it.
Exactly. He will, while it's in spa mode, it's set and you're not going to be able to drag that ball around or anything. It is locked in at that percentage that you, when it goes back to pool mode, then you have complete control back over the percentage setting. The same thing with boost. You wouldn't be able to put it in boost while it's in spa mode.
One more question.
Yes.
The dry contacts, how many options are there? How many ports? Is
There-
it multiple?
There's one port for contact, but what are you referring to?
Well, you said there's a dry contact port that you can use to connect any ORP controller, but then you also said there's a pool cover detection using a dry contact. So it would be either or.
Well, no. All right. So if you have an ORP system, you don't want to bring that to the pool cover control because then it's not going to get picked up.
I'm just trying to figure out.
There's two dry contact. Yes. One is for the pool cover and one is for the ORP control.
They're specific.
Specific.
We were just using the pool, like, let's say you have the system, but you don't have complete automation. So you're not controlling and you don't have groups or anything else. Sean's workaround using the pool cover control as a way, when it goes into spa mode, it will go into, it'll sense that, hey, the pool cover is closing. Let me reduce you trick it into going into 5% of whatever the original set point was. And all of this is about safety because let's face it, first of all, we're temperature compensated. So if it's running at 80%, maintain a 15,000 gallon pool and it's 80 degrees in the pool, you switch it to spa mode. Now you're running a temperature up to 104. The system has temperature compensation. It's going to jack that unit up to 100% output. And now you're not taking care of 15,000 gallons. You're on 350 gallons. And, within 15 minutes, that homeowner's sitting in a chlorine bath. All right. Bleaching their $300 bathing suit out to where they get like 2 uses out of it and then it falls apart.
Your wife is fancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're using the ChemSync system, then you don't need to worry about it. It can be in the spa return line as well, and you're maintaining that pH and ORP while you're using the spa. So
Yeah.
that's another option as well.
Yeah. All right. So what bunch of questions there. Anyway, we were just talking about how the back level has more information and you have control from this level, setting percentages, seeing the cell, and cell life remaining. All right. Another feature that is there with the app that isn't with the actual system by itself. Now, let me say this, when the cell life reaches 0, that doesn't necessarily mean the cell has no more life left in it. All right. That calculation is done via how many hours the cell has been on. But if you've been maintaining and you've been keeping your salt high and everything else, you could potentially get a longer lifespan out of the cell than we have it calculated for. All right.
Or even less if you abuse it.
Yeah, if you abuse it.
Real good selling tool.
Yeah.
For when your homeowners, do for a new cell.
Like, it's easy to sell them a new cell when you look at the cell life counter and be like, it's that 0. Right? You need a new cell. All right, so this is the back page. This would be the 3 dots. Let me take it back up. So on this screen, you have the 3 dots in the top right corner. So this is the back page for more information on the PoolSync. By pushing the 3 dots, it'll bring you to this screen. And this is where you can tell it to, hey, I want you to recalculate salt. I want a better reading, because the system is designed to take a salt reading every 4 hours. So you may not be getting the most accurate salt reading if the homeowner dumped in salt 2 hours before you got there. So if you want to get a true salt reading, you can either power the unit down if it's not hooked to the app, or you can go to the back page of the app that you see right here, and you can tell it to remeasure the salt. And it'll take about 30 seconds, and then it'll give you a new salt reading from when you push that button. This is also where you can recalibrate it if you notice that it's actually off. Now, I only calibrate to the simulator. So I don't, your little handheld meters and everything else, the way we take a salt reading is pretty sophisticated, because we actually use water temperature into the salt calculation. All right. Your little handheld meters don't do that. They read the resistance in the water and they give you a salt reading. Well, water temperature has resistance in it. The warmer the water, the less resistance. The colder the water, the greater the resistance. So your handheld meters have a tendency in the summertime, they read more salt than what's actually in the water. And in the wintertime, they read less salt than what's actually in the water. Our system actually takes water temperature into the salt equation. So my simulator, however, because every unit is programmed to that simulator before it leaves the factory, my simulator is a resistor that doesn't change values, so long as you leave it in the Ziploc baggie and don't expose it to moisture to where it can corrode up or anything. But the resistance value on it does not change. So if I plug that in and it's supposed to read 7,000 and it's reading 7,000, then there's no reason for me to calibrate the unit. It's reading properly. The fact that it's reading different than your meter doesn't really mean a lot to me. Now, if it's 1,000, 1,500 off, then we need to be looking at something. Maybe the tri-sensors are scaled up. There's something going on. There's something to offer more resistance than what's actually showing. This is our ChemSync. This is the system that we now take, and we are monitoring the ORPs and we're monitoring pH. Question: what does ORP stand for? You're right there on it. No. All right. So let me explain what that means in a fashion and form that we can all understand. All right. Oxidation reduction potential. We are used to chlorine in a part per million reading, right? Everybody's used to that. We check it. That's a quantity reading. That tells you how much chlorine is in the water. Now, I get it that, in that part per million reading, you have combined chlorine and you have free chlorine. All right. Free chlorine doesn't tell you how effective, just because it's registering as free chlorine, it doesn't tell you how effective that chlorine is. That's what an ORP system does. An ORP sensor tells you the quality of the chlorine that you have in the water, how effective that chlorine is. So there is no direct correlation between an ORP level and a part per million level. That's all I want you to understand. There's no magic number you can set a pool at that's going to say, hey, this is going to always keep that pool at 3 parts per million. There are so many factors that come into play as to how effective your chlorine is. I don't have time to discuss it right now. pH is a big factor. The higher your pH is, the less effective your chlorine is. I got an ORP presentation that I developed that shows that, in the pool industry, pH between 7.2 and 7.8 is classified as within industry standards. In between 7.2 and 7.8, about 54 to 56% of your chlorine is ill-effective. Only 42 to 44% of your chlorine is effective at a pH of 7.2 to 7.8. And the higher the pH gets, the worse it gets. At 10 on the pH scale, only 10% of your chlorine is effective, which means if you had 10 parts per million chlorine in the pool, they're showing free available chlorine, only 1 part per million is doing the job. The rest of it is it's nullified. It's neutral. It's not doing any work. So once again, ORP has no direct correlation to a part per million. If you have a pool that is taking 10 parts per million of chlorine to satisfy the ORP level, it means you got something in the water you need to get out. All right. So once again, the PoolSync is in control of your pool, monitoring the two things that change daily in a swimming pool: your ORP and your pH, your chlorine level and your pH level. Got precise controls because you have two probes that are sensing the water. There's a 5-gallon acid tank that comes with the PoolSync. This is Matthew's application, correct? That's Matthew's personal equipment. Rather neat. On the plumbing for the PoolSync, you have two sources of water. One feeding the flow cell, which is where the ORP and pH probes are housed, and then one returning the water to the return line back to the swimming pool. Or in this application, I call it it makes the test chamber or flow cell, makes it a vacuum vessel because you're using the pump to suck water up into the test chamber. There's another way you can actually put this in, and instead of having your one line suck water from the return line up into the test chamber and bring it to the pump, you can actually come, and I apologize for this picture not being updated. This is where our manifold would be, which has a 3-pound check valve in it. So you got coming out of the filter, right here, you can plumb the feed up into the test chamber, and then you can return it downstream of our manifold, and that makes it a pressurized vessel. The reason why I suggest this is because in a lot of older systems, they get what's called air bleed. And when the pump shuts off, the water goes back to pool level. And then what that's going to do is that's going to empty out your water lines that are above ground, because when that pump is shut off and you have an air bleed, water is going to drain back to pool level. Now, when your pump fires up the next morning, what's going to happen? Well, if this thing is sucking water out of the return line and there's no water in that return line, your pump's going to cavitate, and it's going to stay cavitated until it sucks all that air out of that return line. So if you make it a pressurized vessel, even if this loses prime, as long as this doesn't and then fires up, it's going to push water into the return line, which is then going to fill the test chamber. So anybody have any questions on that?
Last thing I want to do is drill a hole on the suction side of my pump.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it's not.
That actually, it'll help keep the cell clean. All right. So
But doesn't change the reading.
no, we're taking the reading before that. So if you look right here, we got the water feed tube going up, and then we have the acid feed tube. So we're sucking water to be tested here. We're feeding acid here. So the acid is downstream of where we're taking water up to be sampled. So the acid being fed won't interfere with your reading. If I was taking it downstream of the acid feed, like on this side, then yes, my readings would be interfered with the acid being fed, and you would have it cycling on, cycling off, cycling on, cycling off. But because you're taking the water sample before the acid feed tube, it plays no factor in the reading, but it will help keep the cell clean. And then typically, if this were our patented manifold, we would actually have this line up into the upper arm of the manifold. Whereas right here, I realize we got like what you would assume about 2 to 3 inches between the two lines, but you're still, this only, you only get acid feed when the pump's on and cycling water. So that acid's not going to flow back to this. You understand what I'm saying? Is it? All right.
But the nice thing about the manifold too, it tells you exactly where to drill.
Yeah.
Right on the manifold.
Yeah. Easy plug and play system, pH control, 5-gallon acid tank, controls ORP. You get the readings on the screen with your pH and your ORP, your salt, all your readings are up there. So easily monitored. And once again, you have your alerts down at the bottom. So if there's any alerts, you go to the back page, you click right on that that bell, it'll take you to a page and let you know why that alert is there. So in the ChemSync mode, you have the capability of clicking on system mode, and you can turn it off. You can put it in pH timed mode to where you feed acid via time schedule. All right. So in that mode, you won't be monitoring pH. You'll just be feeding an amount of acid that you program for a certain amount of time to feed acid. Then you have, pH probe. If you put it on pH probe, now it's not going to be looking at ORP. It's not going to be monitoring ORP. It's only going to be monitoring pH via the pH probe. And then you have total control, which means it's now going to be monitoring ORP and pH through the sensors. Once you program the system for manual control, you're able to adjust both the ORP and pH levels. So on this screen, this is the pH screen. You'd be able to, just like raising or lowering your percentage setting on the PoolSync, you can click on the dot, slide your finger around, raise or lower the pH set point, or use the little arrows to raise or lower it as well. You have a boost button for acid. So let's say something happened, you had a big rainstorm or whatever, your pH climbed higher than you wanted it to, you need a little bit of help. You can put the system in a boost acid mode and tell it how many ounces of solution you want it to feed. This is the ORP setting. Click on ORP. Now you're able to set the ORP set point. The number inside is, where you want the ORP level to be at. So you drag the ball around, that's your set point. Then it actually takes a reading, and, you have the ORP reading down below, down here. Over here, current ORP, 156. Basically that pool has, close to zero chlorine in it. It's in a state of where I would put it in a boost cycle. Of course, technically, there is no boost cycle because it's controlled by ORP. All right. When you have ORP, but whenever you're below the set point, it's going to turn the cell on and keep the cell on for 100% output.
Pumped quite a bit of acid.
Yeah.
Where should the ORP be?
So, yeah, the magic question, where should the ORP? So this is basically what I tell anybody, because every body of water is different. All right. And it's, plays your calcium hardness factor, alkalinity factor, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Basically, I tell you, set the balance of the pool, get everything set where you're going to maintain it at or want it maintained at. And then, get the chlorine level where you want it set at. And then basically let it run for 24 hours. And then, check the chlorine level after 24 hours, make sure it's still in the parameters that you want at, and then set the ORP. As long as you're maintaining after 24 hours the chlorine level that you want to maintain that pool at, that's a good, roundabout number to set your ORP set point at. Like I said, just understand this. If your water chemistry changes, that number isn't going to be the magic number for it. But pH is one of the bigger factors that control whether your ORP is effective or not, or your chlorine is effective or not. So by having this system, you're maintaining the pH, which means by setting that number, it's going to be a lot more effective by controlling the pH and maintaining it at or around that part per million you want the pool at.
So what number?
We have it preset, I think, for 650, and that's because that's what the WHO said that, and I think they may have actually changed that to 700 now. I'm not sure. Do what? Is it 720 now?
Yeah, it's 720.
Yeah, originally the WHO said it. Look, if you set an ORP system at 650, it will kill everything cryptosporidium, E. coli, Ebola on contact. Now they've changed it to 720. So, but yeah, I just go back to my original statement. There is no magic number on ORP set point. It is something you have to dial in for whatever pool you're at.
So I think what you're saying is, once you balance your water,
Yeah.
get your chlorine level to whatever you want to get it at.
Yeah.
Let the unit run for 24 hours and see what it's reading for ORP, and then use that as your set point.
Yes. Because, design that system to the body of water that you have it on.
I call you. Tell
You know, me, customer support, your sales rep, but yeah. Now, you notice there's pH calibration, but there is no ORP calibration. All right.
So what about if they take the reading in the middle of the day, the dam is pulling, in the pool water?
Well, all right. So sunlight, sunlight will affect ORP reading based upon how much stabilizer you have in the water. All right. So that it really shouldn't affect your actual part per million reading because once again, part per million reading isn't affected by sunlight. But your ORP level is affected by sunlight when you have stabilizer in the water because sunlight, the UV rays of the sunlight activates the stabilizer molecule. And then what happens is when the stabilizer molecule is activated, the chlorine molecule will create a weak bond with it. When that chlorine molecule is attached to a stabilizer molecule, the ORP sensor can't pick it up. So do what?
You don't want any stabilizer.
Well, the lower you have your stabilizer, the more effective your chlorine is. Let's take it 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, if you were to talk to me about chlorine lock, I'd have told you, you're full of crap. There's no such thing as chlorine lock. But I've literally seen pools, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts per million chlorine growing algae. Of course, the stabilizer level was 150. All right. But guess what? Everybody thinks, more is better. Well, shoot, if 70 or 80 will protect my chlorine, 120, 130, that'll surely protect my chlorine. Yeah, all right, it's protected. It'll be in there for a lot longer, but it ain't doing anything because you've locked it up. Same thing with high pH. It's locked your chlorine up and it's become ineffective. It spends more time attached to a stabilizer molecule than free and clear in the water to actually attack a contaminant.
We have mentioned 50 ppm max.
Yep. 50 ppm is the maximum protection you get from stabilizer. There's no greater protection. It's like SPF. They're 150 SPF. There's no such thing. Past a certain point, it doesn't do anything. It just makes you look white. All right. That's it. 50. Yep. No, 70 is just building a residual. That's all you're doing.
But my ORP system seems to be really happy at 30 parts per million.
30 will offer you protection, not as much as 50, but it will offer you protection and will have less effect on neutralizing your chlorine's effectiveness. Yeah. Well, if you in any system, whether it be our system, any ORP system, they recommend that stabilizer be between 30 and 50. Now, on regular salt systems, they tell you 60 to 80, but that's because you're building a residual, and that way you're not out there every month adding stabilizer to the pool. So on the ChemSync, we also offer the system keeps track of how much acid is fed, so how much acid is dispensed. So if you're monitoring your customer and it's a 5-gallon tank and you look down and you see that, hey, this thing's fed 4.5 gallons. Somebody needs to take some acid out with them next time they're going to Mrs. Smith's house and refill the acid tank and reset the acid meter. You do have the capability of clearing the acid feed rate out every time you're there. Yeah, I would say somebody's let that go for a while. Yeah. Now, do remember that Stenner does offer 15 and 30 gallon tanks. So you could have a customer that has decided, 5-gallon tank isn't big enough for them. They may go to Stenner and purchase a 15 or 30 gallon tank. That's fine. But if you know what tank is there, you know when it needs to be filled. If it's a 15-gallon tank and it's fed 12 and a half, 13 gallons, I'd say it's probably about time to get out there and refill the tank. And once again, like I said, you can clear that. You can zero that out every time you're there. So, what is it? Reset the counter, tracks the amount dispensed. Why is that arrow pointing at? Sorry for the confusion. My arrow has been moved to multi-chlorinator control. That's a different screen altogether. So we were talking earlier. Yeah, right above it, reset acid dispense. I keep forgetting this thing has an actual laser pointer that works. So Right here, you're able to reset the acid dispensed. Make note, move the arrow back up to where it should be. Yeah. Once again, you click on that, it brings you to this screen, tells you, asks you if you want to reset it or if there was you pushed it by mistake. Just trying to make sure you're trying to reset the acid count. And this is our dedicated hotline. All right. I would take a picture of that or go ahead and punch it in your phone. So look, the more numbers you have programmed in your phone for technical support or help, the better. All right. We try to make ourselves ready and available, but I can't be there all the time. Gaspar can't be there all the time. So the more numbers you have, the greater chance you have of getting service while you're on the job site. I'm pretty good at taking photos. I'm ready and available, right? Yeah. I will tell you, if I don't answer your call, you will get a call back. So just have a little bit of patience if you call me and I haven't answered. Give me 15 or 20 minutes. I could be on a long-winded phone conversation. Don't be like my wife and call me 15 times in a row, though. All right. Last but not least, if you could, please scan the QR code. We have a course evaluation. If you really liked my teaching, by all means, use my name, whatever else. If you did not like it, Doug Murphy was your instructor, and he didn't even talk tonight, right? I want to thank everybody that joined us online as well. Are they able to see this QR code as well? Yes. Yeah. So if all of y'all attending online could also scan this and fill out the evaluation survey, I greatly appreciate it.